You remember it perfectly. The exact scene, the exact words, the exact spelling. And you're wrong. Not fuzzy wrong, not maybe wrong, confidently, vividly, completely wrong, along with millions of other people who remember the exact same thing. So how does that happen? How do strangers who've never met, living in different countries, speaking different languages, end up sharing the exact same false memory, down to specific details? For over a decade, this question sat mostly in internet forums and conspiracy circles, but recently, scientists actually studied it properly, and what they found explains something much stranger than a glitch in the simulation. Let's start with the case that started it all. In 2010, a researcher named Fiona Broom discovered something odd. She remembered vividly watching news coverage of Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s, the funeral, the grief, the coverage, except none of it happened. Mandela was released from prison, became president of South Africa, and lived until 2013. When Broom mentioned her memory online, she expected people to correct her. Instead, thousands of strangers said the same thing. They remembered it too. Same decade, same basic story. People who'd never spoken to each other from different countries, all sharing one specific memory of an event that never occurred. Broom called it the Mandela Effect, and once people had a name for it, more examples poured in almost immediately. The children's book series everyone remembers as Berenstain Bears. It's actually Berenstain. The famous Darth Vader line, "Luke, I am your father." He never says Luke. The actual line is just, "No, I am your father." The Monopoly Man, remembered by huge numbers of people wearing a monocle. He never has one. For years, the internet treated this as evidence of parallel universes, timelines bleeding into each other. But in 2022, researchers at the University of Chicago decided to actually test it scientifically. They ran a study specifically on what's called the visual Mandela effect, cases involving images and logos, and they found something remarkable. These false memories weren't random or scattered. They were consistent, specific, and shared across large groups of unrelated people. And they followed a pattern that pointed straight at how memory actually works. Here's the mechanism. Your brain doesn't store memories like a video file. It stores fragments, then rebuilds the scene every single time you recall it. And during that rebuilding, your brain does something called confabulation. It fills in gaps with details that feel plausible based on expectation, not on what actually happened. Researchers call one part of this schema theory. Your brain holds a general mental template for how things should look. A children's book title should follow certain spelling patterns. A villain should say his kid's name before a dramatic reveal. A rich cartoon mascot should wear a monocle because that's the cultural shorthand for wealthy and old-fashioned. So when memory gaps show up, your brain doesn't leave them blank. It fills them in using the most statistically expected version, not the real one. But that still doesn't explain why so many separate people fill the gap the same way. This is where a second piece comes in. Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus proved decades ago, through a famous experiment involving a staged car crash video, that memory is shockingly easy to reshape after the fact. Just changing one word in a question, asking how fast the cars were going when they smashed instead of when they hit, made people falsely remember broken glass that was never in the video. Memory isn't just built once, it's rebuilt slightly differently every time you access it, shaped by language, suggestion, and expectation. And once thousands of people go online and see other people confidently describing the exact same false memory, something called memory conformity kicks in. Seeing someone else's confident, detailed false memory can actually reshape your own without you noticing it happening. So put it together. Your brain reconstructs memories using templates, not video files. Those templates are shaped by culture, shared expectations, shared language, which means when a detail gets misremembered, it often gets misremembered in the exact same direction by completely unconnected people because they're drawing from the same cultural blueprint.
And once one person says it out loud, confidently, everyone else's fuzzy memory reorganizes itself to match. That's the actual mechanism behind the Mandela Effect. Not alternate timelines, not glitches in reality, something almost more unsettling. Your memory was never a recording in the first place. It was always a reconstruction, built fresh every time, using the same cultural raw material as everyone else's brain. Which means the version of your past you're most confident about might not be the version that actually happened. It's the version your brain decided made the most sense. So the next time you're absolutely certain about a memory, so certain you'd argue with anyone who disagreed, remember this: confidence was never proof. It never was. Your brain doesn't store the past. It rebuilds it every single time, out of the same cultural pieces everyone else is using. And sometimes millions of people end up building the exact same wrong thing.